Hello everyone, welcome to Achievers IAS classes. Let's begin our discussion on the current events of 24th March 2018. The first issue in news is regarding the reinstatement of the disqualified MLAs of the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi. The Delhi High Court quashed a notification issued by the President which had disqualified 20 AAP MLAs for holding office of profit as parliamentary secretaries. The High Court held that the Election Commission failed to give a oral hearing to the AAP MLAs before arriving at its opinion that they hold an office of profit, and in this regard has directed the poll panel to hear the matter afresh. For further details on what is the post of parliamentary secretaries, whether states have the right to appoint parliamentary secretaries, how different is state legislature and the legislative assembly in Delhi, and the previous opinions of Supreme Court with respect to office of profit, please go back and watch the monthly current affairs roundup of the previous month. Now let's look into the next issue, which is an editorial regarding the recent decision of the cabinet to approve the Ayushman Bharat scheme. The Ayushman Bharat scheme aims to provide health cover of rupees 5 lakh per year to 10 crore poor and vulnerable families based on the socio-economic and caste census data. As a part of the scheme, the government had proposed the setting up of an apex council to steer the program, and given that the current government has just over a year available before the next polls, urgent action is needed so that the said council and the governing board to operationalize it in partnership with the states is set up in time. Next, the states have a statutory responsibility for the provision of health care and therefore have to act quickly and form dedicated agencies for the scheme's effectiveness. Also, since the Ayushman Bharat scheme represents the foundation for a universal health coverage system, the scheme needs to be given a sound legal basis on the lines of legislations governing the right to food and right to information. Such laws would not only strengthen the entitlement of individuals to care but would also enable the government to regulate overpricing of hospital-based treatments. Talking about entitlements, the initial norms set under the scheme for availing the benefits under it appears to make the inclusion of all the vulnerable groups such as senior citizens, women, children, etc. contingent on families meeting other criteria except in the case of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe households. The government would do well to include these groups universally in line with the universal health coverage definition of the WHO, which defines it as all people obtaining health services they need without suffering financial hardship when availing them. Finally, the government must also pay attention to the social determinants of health like affordable housing, planned urban development, pollution control, road safety, etc., for reducing the public health burden as well as improving the quality of life. In this regard, the Ayushman Bharat scheme, which has a national character, has a crucial role even for the state governments, and both the union as well as the state governments have to work hard to put the system in place. With that, let's move on to the next issue, which is an editorial regarding the recent rate hike by the US Federal Reserve. Recently, the US Federal Reserve raised its benchmark short-term interest rate by 25 basis points, which is highest in a decade. This is a shift away from the low interest rates regime maintained by the US central bank. Given that the American economy is projected to grow at a healthy rate, the increase in US federal rates are expected to continue in the days to come. The move by the US Federal Reserve and other global central banks to move towards normalizing monetary policy can have wider impacts on the global economy, like in case of interbank lending market, which is the rate at which international banks lend to each other and thereby serve as a benchmark for lending rates, might see an increase, thereby adversely affecting the corporate debt market because the global economic growth is just recovering, and at this juncture, rising interest rates will affect the capacity of private firms to service their debt, thereby raising the risk of default by private borrowers. Adding to this, some of these companies who have borrowed heavily in the past decade due to ultra low interest rates will also be prone to exchange rate risks, which could further hurt the global economy. In India's case, any hike in the US federal rates will result in capital outflows from the Indian market because investors would want to rechannel their capital to benefit from rising interest rates in the United States. Therefore, both the Union government as well as the central bank has to take precautionary steps to reduce any adverse impact associated with the US federal rate hike. With that, let's look into the other issues in news. The first one being on the notice issued by the Indian government to the UK based firm Cambridge Analytica accused of misusing data over 50 million Facebook users, asking it to disclose if the data of Indian users was used and to name the entities that used their services. The government has sought immediate response to various questions and has further asked to clarify how they came to be in possession of such data and whether consent from the individuals was obtained before sharing their personal information. The final issue in news today is regarding the launch of the country's first sign language dictionary by the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment in order to remove the communication barriers between the deaf and hearing communities. The dictionary, developed by Indian Sign Language Research and Training Center, has subtitled videos depicting various signs and includes legal, medical, academic, and technical terms as well. With that, I conclude today's news analysis. Do share this content if you like it. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.